Hey everyone, Corey here, coming in to do an energy update for this coming weekend. This is May the 23rd. And of course, we are coming up to the end of May, but we're now also in Gemini season. So we're in a time of duality, of change, but we also have next week coming up is the new moon. Now, there is a lot of focus that is being placed around, the coming of the full moon. But this weekend is probably more powerful and more potent than that new moon. I don't know exactly what would make it more potent, but I do know that we're coming to, well, it's an ending. We're coming to the end of a 30-year cycle. And so these cycles, and it's the cycle of not for maybe not everyone would feel the effects of this, but of a 30-year cycle of when Saturn would have been in Aries for the last time it would have been in Aries for a long period of time to the return of coming back into Aries. And it is the beginning because the cycle is actually from Pisces, Saturn moving from Pisces, moving into Aries. And so we're going from the 12th house into the first house. So it is kind of really turning the mirror back around, but it is the end of a cycle. So for some, it's the beginning of something brand new. You've never experienced this. It is something that is going to bring about an drastic changes. It can also be the time of when that full sense of where we see a real leveling up happening in our lives, and where life begins to either level up or life begins to change. And so this weekend is kind of the beginning of that. Now, I'm not a professional astrologer, but I read the energy. And so as I'm reading this energy, or as I'm communicating, not reading, yes, communicating with this energy, is that the energy is really truly coming in like this big, it's like this big presence that's coming in. You know, when someone walks into a room that you can't help but look at, and it's like you're unsure if it's them or if it's you, but you feel like a bit of the, like, either intimidated or a bit of a blush feeling or a little bit of uncertainty, and you're not sure what to do with it. Well, that's the energy that's coming in this weekend. It's like, oh, it could be a little bit feel intimidating, it can feel a little uncertain, or it could feel like you're trying to match it, like you're trying to match something. You're trying to, like, all of a sudden you're going to be this big powerful person, and you're going to watch me roar. And it's that trying to match this energy, and you can't compete with Saturn. But Saturn's a little bit grumpy. Saturn has a little bit of that grumpy kind of energy to it as well. But you can't really match it, and you're not here to match it. You're not here to fight with it. You're not here to try to overshadow it, to overpower it, to overcome it. You're here to step in with it. And so it's here to observe it, here to learn from it, here to grow with it. And so this Saturn and Aries in the first house brings about the focus upon self again. And so it can actually really truly be that the shadow aspects. It's like really focusing upon self could bring back the old thoughts, the old memories. And it's like, well, I have to do this and I have to do that, and I have to take charge of my life. And it's not that we don't, but it's the focus, and what the energy is trying to help us to understand is, I have to move out of the way to allow. What if this intimidating energy, what if this big force is here to guide me, here to help me, here to be here to assist me in some way? What if there's something that, if I simply slow down the mind and allow myself to sit with this powerful force and witness how it can really truly shift and change the energy, is that maybe I can recognize that if I sit with my own inner divine force, my own inner divine power, then maybe I can bear witness to the changes that have felt like it's been on repeat for me forever. And so it does bring it is the beginning of something. So it could be the beginning now of, say, a new project. If you've been waiting for papers to come in or waiting for something to finally be resolved, finally be over, finally be done with that bullshit, this is the weekend and this is the time, and not just the weekend, but this is the energy of where you're going to see that unfold. You're going to see, okay, that phase of my life is over. I'm done with that now. I've got the signatures, or I've got the completion, or it finally just disappears. It's no longer there. It's no longer chasing me, because what we run from chases us. And when we turn around and we face it, it actually then gets resolved. But if we keep running from it, and so it's also a good time to complete the little details of the things that you don't want to follow you in that next stage of your life. And that is your own mind, your own thoughts as well, or your own patterns, your own habits, your own beliefs that are just so out of alignment to a truth. And so finally walking in and walking up to that shadow, or finally resolving, or finally doing finishing up the little details of the things you need to complete and finish so that it doesn't follow you, is you are the co-creator of the miracles, of the opportunities, of the changes, of the transformation of your life. But you're not the whole creator. The energy is giving you, it's a plug-in. It's like a plug-in app, right? It's something that we plug into to give us an advantage. But if we plug it in and we try to overpower it, how does it work? How can it work for us? And so it does work for us. And so sometimes it gives us a voice and a courage to kind of end contracts and karmatic life contracts, soul contracts, which means you may have to walk a journey that may last the several years until it's complete. Or you may have to take that hero's journey. You may have to really truly go on a quest in life to really truly get to a specific point, and which means you might take the long way around, or you may take the direct route, the direct line. We don't really know. We don't know. And so I do know, like, I can tell you that I traveled this 30-year journey, and the things that were transpiring in my life in that 1996. So, it's like we're not completely up to 30 years. I don't think it's a complete 30 years. It's like 29. I'm like, if I were to do the math, it's actually 29 years. It's not a full 30 years. But I think when it began to probably come in, because my daughter was born in 96, and she was born in the end of the Saturn in Pisces, and then Saturn went into Aries in April, and she was born in March. And so it happened right after my 25th birthday. So it's 29 years. It's not actually 30 years. And so I can tell you, I bear witness, and I have walked the journey of this past, of the first becoming a mom, to the witnessing the changes in her life, but all that would have unfolded in that period of time. And if I were to put my focus on business, is that I had a business at the time. I ended up having to close the business. I was young. I was a new mom. I had postpartum that nobody was talking about, which no one even recognized. I had postpartum, and then eventually I moved and I reopened. I tried again, and I opened up the business again, and it was a massive success, and it grew and it became massive. And then I recognized that it wasn't really my dream no more. And so that began to change. And so it's recognizing that the person I was changing. And that's where, in that period of time, my healing journey really, truly took place. And it was until I was willing to turn the mirror around and stop trying to live outside of myself and look beyond. And when I could look beyond all that was in front of me, and look beyond all that was clouding my judgment, and which was other people's beliefs and thoughts and values, and who I should be and what I should do in life, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, everything that stood in the way. And I began to really, truly look beyond what's beyond. And I allowed my gifts to really, truly come into the light, which was very vulnerable, because it's vulnerable to live as your truth. It's vulnerable to live authentic. It's vulnerable to let these gifts out to the world, or to expose yourself for who you truly are. It's very vulnerable, but it was the journey that I had to take to first discover this person and to become this person. And this massive big move that we just took again all happened all during this time. And I had lost my home in 96, my home I was living in, and all of that happened. And then here I am, 29, not 30. It's not quite 30. Maybe it was flipping back and forth 30 years ago. That now here I am with a new home. And I've never had a home kind of that's been my own. And this has been a dream that I manifested. It's not just mine, it's my husband's, but it's like that I was having a home. And so, but it represents that coming home to self. So I'm sharing this, and I stepped a little bit out of channel to share this, so that you can really kind of grasp a little bit of how this energy can work for us. And for a long time, I was working against it. And whenever the time I was working against it, or running from the changes, or running from it because it was intimidating, it was scary, it was easier to avoid, to run, than turn around and face myself. And when I finally turned around and I faced what I thought was the big giant monster, and to face the big thing that I thought was overshadowing or intimidating, was that I recognized it wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be, but it was going to come at a cost. But when I recognized that that pride was keeping me from my peace, that's when I recognized that, okay, I have to do the hard things. And I have to do all the hard things to get to where it is that I truly know in my heart I need to go. And I hope in some way that this message inspires you to really look at what pride keeps you holding on to. And it's because we're looking into what's in front of us and not looking beyond. And when you can begin to look beyond and look what's beyond that horizon, or you can start to dream about what's beyond my own bullshit, what's beyond my own fierce determination to keep holding on to this identity, to holding on to this persona, to holding on to this story, to holding on to this past experiences. What's it costing me? And is it costing me more than I can afford to lose? And this is where the birth of More Than Existing came. In this journey, during this time, through many Saturns changing to many planets, during this time and all the way back again to this moment, is when this would have transpired. Now, for myself, my next transition, when Saturn goes into the next transition, it will go into Taurus, I believe it is. And when it goes into Taurus, now my Saturn return is actually in Taurus, and I will enter into my second Saturn return. And this is kind of like the last Saturn return of your life. So it's like, this is the time for myself. It doesn't mean it's the time. It's like it's your last chance. It's your last time, but it's kind of my last ditch opportunity or moment to really live authentic and to kind of live life by my own rules, in the way that is saying, I'm done making my life harder than it needs to be. I'm done creating more suffering in my life than I need to suffer. I'm done chasing. I'm done trying to fill up on illusions, or looking at the cup half cup. I wrote this morning in my energy update on Facebook. It's like, we got that analogy of the cup half full, half empty, and we use that analogy. And I'm like, I'm not going to use that. That's not what I'm using today. That's repeat. It's like, here's the glass of water. look through the glass. Can you see through the glass? Can you see through the other side? And it's like, can you see what's on the other side? And if you can't, imagine what's on the other side. What's on the other side? What's on the other side? And sometimes we got to clear out we got to empty out, we have to pour out what stands between us and being able to see what's on the other side. And, there's always that thought of, it's like, oh, I want to be seen, or, oh, I want to be valued, I want to be important. Well, we are all of that. We just can't see that. It's that return to the essence of being alive, and being alive in our own life, and being an active participant in our own lives, and not looking at life through the lenses of, I am being hard done by, or I'm being left out, or it's like we leave ourselves out of the equation or out of our own lives way too often. And one of the most powerful things I believe that we learn, or that I can say, was that I had to learn the power of no. And it wasn't just, oh, I'm just going to learn to say no to everyone else. I had to learn that what it costs, what it came to get to here would mean that I would have to say no. And I would have to say no to the extra vehicle. I would have to say no to, all the things that would temporarily satisfy an inner hunger, right? An inner desire. Oh, I want that. I need that. And so it was to really, truly look at the impulsiveness that we sometimes have, and really go deeper than the impulsiveness. Because when, just say, for example, this intimidating, this energy, this big energy is coming in, our impulse may be to run, or to want to fight it, or want to try to explain it away, or try to justify, or whatever that is. And it's like the impulsiveness is the thing that keeps us responding from the thoughts in the mind that are really tied to all that is in the collective consciousness, versus the whisper of our own divine essence. That brings us closer to home, and not farther away from home, not farther away from ourselves. And so it'd be easy to say, oh, I got it. No, I'm in the learning process like everyone else, and as are you. And so when we see this energy, so there's potential. Oh, this desk shakes. This is my temporary desk in my home, in my bedroom. So we're actually in my room. And so there is potential, and that powerful potential is showing itself to us. And we have to be not so quick to want to change the environment, or to change the things that are around us. And so to create our comfort, how often, this is one of the other things that's coming up, how often do you try to make people the people you need them to be so that you're comfortable? In the meantime, what if they never wanted to change? What if they don't want to be something different? What if they don't need to be something different? What if they were not the problem? What if it's the fact that you just can't simply be comfortable enough in your own self, and to self-discover, and to be you, that you need everyone else to make the changes, because you either have something that you're envious of, or makes you angry, or pisses you off, or whatever that may be, that agitates the emotions, or it keeps activating the emotions of what you want to live in, right? And or what you keep living in, but you don't have to live in. And so what if it's you? And so this is where the mirror turns around. What if it's you? What if it's you that are the only one feeling this? What if it's you who is creating this? What if this is you? And what if the version beyond all of this is the one that can see this coming in, and take this as a great moment, or an experience in our lives? What if that person that you meet, that you say, oh, they intimidate me, is the opportunity for you to see, to walk into your own weaknesses, your own narrative, your old stories? What's now old that needs to be poured out? What needs to be released? And so here we are, we're in this time, we're in this energy, we're in this moment, we're in this experience. And what are we going to do with it? So a little visual is, this is my new home. everything that I loved. I loved this home the first time I walked in. And instantly when I got in, it's like, oh, I need to change this. I need to change that. And then I heard myself. I heard myself. And I just remembered I could always see the vision, but the vision is doesn't need to be all today. First, I need to exist in this home, and I need to be one with this home, so this home can tell me what it's seeking, what it needs the most, what is going to be the most important, things to address first, to deal with first. And so it's like, why is my hot pink wall such an issue? And so is it because somebody else is going to see him as a judgment? Um, or is it because it's irritating me, it's bothering me? What is that? But I'm loving my pink walls. I'm loving the charm. And so it's charming. But God forbid if we accept charming, because charming's not enough. We got to make it powerful. We have to take soft and we have to turn it to something hard. We have to take vulnerable and we have to make it strong. And we're conditioned, not always, we're conditioned to use alchemy for, not for the highest good, but for the ego's desire to change and manipulate the world and the life to align to what we are unwilling to change within ourselves. So we want the world to change for us, but we don't want to change within ourselves. And so the redirection is about having to make the change within ourselves so that we can exist in a world that's never going to give us everything we want to make us comfortable. It's going to give us everything that we need, that gives us the opportunity to evolve, to grow, to learn, so that the essence of our soul and what our soul came here for was through this human. It came for the human experience, for its own evolution. It is not rocket science. It's how we see it. And so it is the essence of the fact that you are so much more than the reflection of your physical self. But the physical self is not a puppet on a string to the world, not even to the soul. It has a free will choice. The soul is in no hurry because the soul is going nowhere. And every wrong turn you take, the soul takes a turn in the right direction. The soul learns what it needs to help guide you when you begin to listen, to get back on course, to get going in the right direction. And so the evolution and the growth, this is taking us to bring awareness to the value of the vessel, and the realization that this is a series of karmatic events that we have been somehow destined to bring, to evolve, to bring to either an end, a clearing, a resolution within, and so that we can find our way back to that which we've always been on the run trying to seek. And the greatest secret, the greatest joke was ever played up on humans was being sent off to look for a treasure outside of yourself. When in the story, in the narrative of the story, is that God took in the Big Bang, all the pieces of the Big Bang, all those little golden particles fell within all of these humans, knowing that the last place we'd look to find it would be within ourselves. And not one could hold it all, because one alone holding all of that power would then the ego would then take over the power. But a little piece in each would still have the influence of the ego, but a little piece in each would give us the essence of the soul. And that this would, or give us the guardian of the soul. It would be the divine within, would be the God within, would be the light within, whatever you want to call it. But that this little place that we seek, that we look, would be outside of ourselves, and we'd be running around like chickens with our head cut off until we finally stop and finally step back, and we learn the power of silence, and we learn the power, we learn the journey is an inward journey, not an outward journey. And that fight, that resistance is because we chase the life, we chase the world, looking for that, because we keep trying to adapt it, adjust it, change it, including the people in our lives, to fit and align to that which we don't want to resolve within ourselves. That's a piece of the story. And that's a piece of the energy. And that's a little bit of where we are right now. And it's a little bit of where we are over this weekend, to where we are opening the portal to this, where we're opening up the new change, where there is a new character coming in, where there is a not new to some, new to the game at this point, as the Aries is returning to Saturn, and Saturn is and Aries is a little bit of a rebel. So it's going to fight with time. Saturn is about time. It's about karma. It's about slow moving. It's not about fast moving. And Aries is going to come in, and you're going to want to speed things up. You may want to take charge. I'm going to do everything right now, and I'm going to get there right now. And then Saturn is going to be the one that just kind of takes you by the back of the shirt collar and says, really? You really think it's going to happen that fast? You really think you're going that fast? And your little legs will be just like dingling through and it's like, so it makes us really contemplate and think about what we're about to say, what we're about to do, how we're about to show up. And it brings us back. It is to help bring us back, and for us to really contemplate. And so really look at, but then to move beyond contemplation, because contemplation is still the ability to think about how I can get what I want and get what I need. And it's still about creating my sense of safety, my sense of security, instead of allowing for space for that big divine voice that comes in a whisper to speak beyond your thoughts. Way out there. But it's powerful and it's changing. Now that's macro, micro, you may start to notice, well, we're in a time of change. We're seeing it on every landscape that is possible to see it. And so a lot of shit that's being called up and being called out is for change, And one of the ones that came up in my wheelhouse of awareness several years ago through a friend from South Africa was about the farmers, and about how the farmers were being attacked for their land, and it was never mentioned. Like I said, it was like when she told me, I literally had to dive really deep to discover and find that out. But now all of a sudden it's being brought up, and it's being brought up and on the public stage, and it's being approached, in a visible way. And now perspective, stories, whatever it is, but it is one of the things that's coming to the forefront. It really is. And it's something that is to be given attention. And so, and that's just one story, but all of these places of where that has been kind of coasting underneath the radar, because it's not as big, it's not as to some, it doesn't have the impact, or it changes the narrative of stories. It changes the projection of the way that, say, one part of society wanted a narrative to go or a story to go. And it's now all these little seedlings of stories that needed to come, or experiences within yourself, within your life, that needed to come up into the surface, that needs your attention, is now it's coming to the forefront, and it's asking for attention. It's asking for a new truth. It's asking for what is needed. And so those parts of the shadow aspect are also asking for attention, because beyond it is probably your best self. So we're seeing it on a macro, we're seeing it on a big scale, we're seeing it all within the world, but now we're also seeing it, we're also going to feel it, see it, live in it within ourselves and in our own experiences, that it is bringing that attention, bringing that awareness to what needs to be brought to the attention, so that it changes the perspective. It gives, or not changes, it gives us a clearer perspective, of all the things we need to change, all the things we need to work out. If we want to see, if we want to see a healthier, happier life, we have to see all of this. And so in my own writing this morning, one of the things that came up was I'm writing about expression and about expressing yourself and about being okay, being allowed to express yourself and how we express ourselves and where that expression comes out. And one of the things I wrote was through sitting, through turning around and facing my shadow of being intense and being serious and or having sarcastic humor, in all of that, behind the shadow of that, I found my true humor. And that kind of dorky little girl and seeing that little dorkiness and seeing her innocence and seeing her humor and seeing her love of color and her love of life and her love of artistic things and being artistic and the weird and the wacky, and that her humor is not defined by the dictionary's definition of humor. How humor is so much bigger, and when we incorporate love into our shadow, it's into our own darkness, into those little shady, shadowed areas of the identity. When we allow love in, it illuminates the dark, and then our light shines, and it draws out the light. It draws out our true characteristics. It draws out our true identity, and those true identities is the identity of the soul. It's the identities that never abandon you, that never leave you. They just get really freaking pissed off with you. And they become the incorporated parts of you that you were afraid to give light to, and you were afraid to let out and be vulnerable because you fear what happens when you truly become yourself. And when you truly become yourself, the world that you created for that existence, it changes in somehow, and you change in somehow. And so coming to the surface are the areas that need light. And it's going to take time. Life takes time. And so slow down, smell the roses. We're not going to be in any big rush, even though we're going to feel the rush. Everything is happening and everything is evolving. And what is beyond? Look at what is beyond. I send you so much love. Have a beautiful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Much love.